Hi, everyone. I hope everybody is doing well. This is assignment 8 that I'm going to go over, and I need everybody to kind of stick with me. It can be a little confusing on how to explain how vertex form and standard form work, but I'm going to kind of show you the short and sweet version. Real quick, let's look at some of the notes that were given to help you. I like these notes because they're kind of short and sweet, and they go through, this is what's on your, the week 8, the PDF notes that were shared with you. These go all through how to do standard form and vertex form with quadratics. Because when you look at quadratics, most people are familiar with the ax squared plus bx plus c. That's called standard form. But a lot of people freak out when they see this one. And really, I'm going to show you the short and sweet version to get the information you want to find the vertex and know whether this opens up or opens down, okay? So that's what I'm going to do right now. I'm going to go to my whiteboard. And I'm going to go over just a few examples. And I hope once I go over a few examples, it will not be as confusing. All right, so let's say we get this vertex form, and it looks something like this, f of x, and remember, that doesn't matter. F of x just means y equals. We're not worried about that. It's just naming the graph. What we're worried about is what comes after the equal sign. So it's very important to know when there's a negative in front and when there's not a negative. So I'm going to write 2 examples, x plus 3 squared minus 2. And then I'm going to do the other example. Okay. So when there is no negative in front of the parentheses, your quadratic is going to open up. It's going to look like this because there's no negative. So no negative. For A, it's technically for the value of A, but if you need to think about it, just in front of the parentheses. So if there's no negative right here, then your graph is going to look like a smiley face. It's going to open up. But if you do have a negative here, then the graph is going to open down. It's going to look like that. It flips it. So if A has a negative with it, that's technically what it means, then you're going to open down. The next part you're going to need to know for this is what is the vertex. So now we're not going to worry about whether it's positive or negative. The only thing the positive or the negative in front of the parentheses shows us is if it's going to open up or open down, it's going to flip. If you need to find the vertex, it shows you in the equation. But you got to remember what you learned earlier this year. Remember when we talked about insider's lie? Technically, this is supposed to be H and this is supposed to be K. Those are what numbers represents. H is 3, K is -2. Down here, H is 1, K is 5. But really, and don't ask me why they use H and K, really, you're just trying to find the X and the Y value. Those H and Ks will tell you what the X and Ys are. So I just want to, we're not going to talk about H and Ks anymore. I just got to throw it out there. But really, we're going to find the vertex. So really, this is your X. Hold on. This is your X, and this is your Y. The only other thing you have to be careful about is that rule of insider's lie. The positive 3 is inside that set of parentheses. So it's lying to you. It's not really positive, it's negative. And then the Y value, -2, is not in the parentheses, So it's not like lying to you, so it just stays the same. So be very careful when you're just looking at it, and you need to find that you can look at it and just find the vertex. But you got to remember that insider's lie, it's going to change the opposite. The opposite of +3 is -3. So down here, and this is our vertex. That's why it's called vertex form, because it helps you find the vertex. So that would be the bottom point. This, since this is a frowny face, your vertex is going to be at the top. So this is our x value, this is our y value. But remember that +1 is inside the parentheses. So instead of +1, it's -1. And then that 5 is outside the parentheses, so it's going to just stay +5. And that's our vertex. -1 and 5. Just +5. That looks like a negative, but it's positive. Okay? So that's the short and sweet version of how you do vertex form. Now, some of y'all have the TI Inspire calculators. So you can also graph these, and it'll tell you the vertex. Remember, go to the graph, put in whatever's after the equal sign. And then remember menu 5.1, area 51 gives you a little spaceship, and you can move up and down that graph on your TI calculator. Well, remember that some people don't have the TI calculator, or if you had trouble getting it online, you can go to desmos.com. So let me do that real quick. Okay, so I'm gonna go over here to desmos.com. Here's the week 8 assignment. Before I go to Desmos, let me show y'all, I'm gonna show y'all some stuff real quick. Remember that your vertex is going to be that blue dot at the very bottom of that graph. That's your vertex. And remember, you need to write it as a coordinate point. So just make sure you have 2 numbers. Don't just say the vertex is, 4 or 5 or 6. It's going to be 2 sets of numbers. It could be 2, 2, it could be -2, 5, but it's got to be 2 sets of numbers, just like I showed you when we were going over vertex form. It's got to be a point or a set of 2 numbers. Okay, so that's on number 1. And number 3, you're going to need to know that where the vertex is. Number 2 says, where's the vertex? If you paid attention, you can already kind of see what the vertex is. Remember that insiders lie. But if you're having trouble with this, I'm not going to give you the same, well, I already did. I'm going to give you this one, but there's 3 more that you got to do. Okay? So I put this in, and I'll put it in again. So I went to desmos.com, and this is the graphing calculator. And we said it's x minus 2 squared plus 9. X minus 2, and then your parentheses are over on the left here, and then squared, and then plus 9. And it gives you the graph. Then it asks you, what is the vertex? Well, it already shows you right here, it's already grayed, but if you press your finger on it or use a stylus, voila, you have your vertex. Okay, now let's see if that's correct. Let's go back to the problem. It's saying that our vertex is 2, 9. If we go back to the problem, remember, insiders lie. So instead of it being -2, the x value is +2, and the y value is 9. So that's correct. So use Desmos to your advantage. Okay? So if we go to number 3, it gets a little bit different. It says, write a function in vertex form in the graph below. Well, if you already have your vertex, you can work backwards and you can write the vertex form. Let me go back to the whiteboard. I'm gonna leave one of these little f of x. So I'm gonna start by just writing f of x because that's just how you start the problem. Now let's say we had a point of, I don't know, you found out that the vertex on that graph that we're looking at, I think I'm using different numbers, was 4, -3. All you have is a vertex. Well, remember, you can write the vertex form. Go back. If we go back to that problem and we look at the graph, if the graph is opening up, we know there is going to be no negative in front. So I'm just going to start with my parentheses. That means my graph looks like this. There's going to be no negative right here. Then I'm going to look at, okay, what do I need here? That's my x value. That's this. Well, remember, insiders lie. So in the reverse, instead of +4, this would be a -4. Close the parentheses, squared. And then you just put the -3 on the outside, and you're done. Let's say our graph looks like this, and they gave us the vertex of, I don't know, -2, 5. So that means that the vertex was here. Again, I can just start f of x equals, it's close, so I know it's going to be negative on the outside. Then x, my x value over here was -2. Insiders lie, so I know it has to be +2 inside, squared, and then I just keep that +5. So the only thing that really changes is this because it's insiders lie rule. Now, if that is still confusing with you, stay with me because you can also use Desmos for this. All right, they give you options, and then they give you a picture of a graph. Could you go to the picture of the graph and graph these and play a matching game? So I'm going to do option 1. Let me delete everything. And then I'm going to go, option 1 was x + 7 to the second power -3. So x + 7 to the second power, what was it? -3. Okay, if I look at this graph, even though the numbers on the, you can kind of close in too to get better, see your numbers a little bit better on the x and y axis. But if I look at this and then I go back to look at week 8, that doesn't look anywhere near. That's somewhere over on that left coordinate side, or that left panel. That's not anywhere near. So you can go through these and just graph them on Desmos and play matchy-matchy. You can also just find the vertex and do like we did. Write the vertex down on a piece of paper, and then remember that the x value is going to be insider's lie. So you have to do the opposite number, or the opposite. If it's positive, negative. If it's positive, turn it to negative. If it's negative, turn it to positive. And then your y value just stays the same. So you're going to do that for number 3, number 4, and your clue here, it's turned down. So is it going to have a negative in front of the parentheses or not? Same thing here. Now they give you an equation. You can either find the vertex from this equation and then find it on your options, or you could come over and graph it on Desmos and play a little mathing game. And you can do this in the TI calculator as well. Same thing with this one. So all of these, if you go to desmos.com, you can do it, but you can also look at it and find your vertex just like we did previously. If you still get stuck, there's still these notes provided for you. Okay, and just kind of look through those notes, and like right here it says H and K. What they really mean is just your X and your Y value. Miss Foy wrote these. She has it labeled as H and K, but you gotta be able to switch back and forth. Even though they're using different letters, it's the same concept. You're just finding those coordinate points to find your vertex. And then if you go to the other set of notes, this really shows which way that's going to look because of A. In 1 and 3, it's positive. So that's why those graphs are turned up. And then in number 2, there's that negative in front of the parentheses, and that's why it's turned down. And then it shows you your vertex instead of -3, or excuse me, instead of on number 1, instead of +3, it's -3, and then you just tack on the -2, and you've got your vertex point. Okay, so again, if you're still looking at these notes and you watch the video and you're still like, man, I still am stuck, please give me a call, write me a comment in the Google Classroom. Just get a hold of me however you can. I have my email, but I'll always do a video or Zoom for you, no problem. All right, y'all have a great day.